Do you think climate change will affect the type of food we'll be eating in the future? 100%.
Yeah, there's literally no doubt.
I think it's definitely going to change how we eat and our eating habits. There are so many alternatives now coming up.
There's so many innovations happening because we've realised we've backed ourselves into the corner.
Do you remember when we had the barbecue where we tried out all the different meat substitutes?
Yeah, because before, if you were vegetarian, you would only be eating sort of vegetables. But
I think it's also interesting talking about protein because there's so many conversations about either lab-grown meat or insects. If you're going to farm,
there's not really anything wrong with it, is there?
And lots of cultures do, and if you're going to farm them, they're incredibly sustainable.
I have eaten crickets and they didn't taste of anything and you get the legs stuck in your teeth. But it was an interesting experience.
now there's more alternatives coming through, and I think that's really important because it's about adapting to our current situation, which is where we're using up too many resources and we're putting too much strain on the environment.
Who grew, produced and prepared the last meal you ate? See if you can count up how many people took part in your meal, from the farmers to the cook.
That's a really good question, isn't it?
It was from M&S, actually.
Oh God, no, I genuinely could not tell you.
That's a intense. I mean, your last meal was mummy's food, wasn't it?
I don't know, even the number of people in one bit of food, like an
probably
apple
so many,
or some
yeah.
rice, is going to be a lot of people, because supply chains are so confusing.
I'm not sure who grew or produced it, to be honest.
I don't even know where to start with that.
Or even just taking notice of, like, because it's on the packet, but I feel like a lot of people don't look if they're buying fruit or veg, like what country it comes from.
That's quite interesting to think that we know so little actually about where our food comes from. So it's a bit of an eye-opener actually, isn't it?
It's never really occurred to me to think of that before, but now I definitely will.
Has your involvement in climate campaigning changed yours or your family's food habits? Well, you haven't, you've just always been vegetarian.
We are certainly looking for foods that are not wrapped in plastics for a start.
I'd like to think that I've had some impact at home.
I think we are continually trying, because I can definitely see that there's less meat in the house.
And it's you that's really switched with the milks and the much more plant substitutes for
Well, it's usually because I just see, God, new vegan range, let's go try the chicken nuggets.
My family have always grown foods, but I've definitely noticed now my awareness of food has changed.
We struggle with growing our own food. For some reason it doesn't quite work.
We're not natural at it, are we?
No.
It's certainly been a lot easier for me at home over the last few years to foist vegetarianism.
If somebody had said to me, you're not going to be eating meat 2 years ago, I would have said, you're joking.
Yeah.
I just hope that it continues, and maybe that, you know, our influence can actually spread to friends and families, you know, having these discussions with them.
What top tips would you give for eating more sustainably?
I think just generally to look at where things come from.
Take it one step at a time.
Yeah,
Yes.
because it doesn't happen overnight.
Meat consumption is definitely a big one for me as well. I try to cut it down more, because I think you can already make such a big impact even without yourself knowing.
And I think, again, it's about picking an area you're interested in. There are so many different ways that you can make your diet more sustainable.
And be adventurous, as you say. There's so much interesting stuff out there.
You know, it's all of these ways of just, how can I make one small difference and go from there.
But the choice of what you put in your mouth, you do have a reasonable amount of control over, and benefits that you can make for planet Earth by just shifting your diet.